Now, the residents of Pigpen will turn you into a pig just like themselves, guys. The residents, those who live in the pig pen, have no problem telling you to act like a pig just like they do. When you've spent everything, that's the best they have to offer you. Why is it that he selectively picks someone out who was in the same mess that he was in? It says that he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country. And I find our young people are notorious for that. That we will go find someone else who's even worse off than us to give us advice rather than go to mama and papa, rather than go to the people who have our best interest in mind. I'm telling you, across America today, it is the blind leading the blind. Yes, amen. Why do we do that? Why do we seek advice from people they're not where you want to be? And isn't it interesting how all of a sudden the experts pop up? The experts pop up and you want to, you're just hitting a rough patch. Go and feed these pigs. And it says that, you know what I see here? He goes and does it. Here is this Jewish boy who was raised to hate swine. He hates pigs. They are filthy, unclean animals. And no one in Israel would have anything to do with a pig. And here's this young Jewish boy. And here he goes, he's going to make a go at it. He actually goes into the field. He knows better because someone is giving him advice on this is what he should do. Why does he listen to this guy? Why? Because this is his last attempt to try to make a success of sin. And you can't do it. Church, you cannot make a success of sin. You can add to filth, and sin can be added to sin, but you cannot make a success of sin. You know, Pastor, if I know what I'm doing out here in the streets, I know it's wrong. I know it's wrong, but I'm going to make me some good money. And then when I have my house and I have my cars, my family, then I'm coming back to church. You can't do it. You cannot do it. You cannot live in sin and be righteous with God and not affect the desires inside your heart. To live in sin is to love sin and to court sin and to sleep with sin. To live in sin is only to beget more sin. When are you and I going to wake up that we can't make a success out of disobeying God? Well, I don't want to go to church. I don't have to go to church. I don't have to go to church. Where did the Bible say I have to go to church to be saved? It doesn't. You're right. Why don't you want to go to church? Well, because they're just not quite like me. Well, why is that? Well, because I don't sing the same kind of songs that I do. Wow. So do you go to the grocery store and say you don't like country music and they're playing country music? Do you turn around and walk out of the grocery store? Hello? Do you go to your clubs? And whatever club it is in town, whether it be a golf club or whether it be the Lions or whether it be the Lionesses or to be the Rotary Club, what if they play something there? Do you turn around and walk out? So I suggest to you the excuses we make are nothing more than excuses. We are trying to do what we want to do and make a success out of our life apart from obeying God. No different than what the Son is doing. And you see in the end they say, you know what? Go to the field and feed pigs. Why? Because that's the best that his friends can offer him. Those friends of his that are watching his back suggest to him, go to the fields and feed hogs. Some friend. You see, this is what happens. The devil does not leave you with joy and peace and long-suffering and gentleness and kindness. He doesn't leave you with those things. That's the best he has to offer you. here today is in the end is just to go out and to make an utter wreck of your life. His objective is to kill and to steal and to destroy your life. When are we going to wisen up, church, and quit listening to him? And here's what I see here. It says in verse 16, he's in there, he's feeding the pigs, and it says, now he would have gladly have filled his stomach with the pods that the swine ate. And no one gave him anything. Now he is actually beginning to actually desire to eat what he never dreamed he would desire before. He's desiring to eat what he would have never dreamed he would have ever desired to eat something like that before. And now all of a sudden, that husk, that pod that the pig is chewing on and munching on actually even sounds pretty good to him. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? It happens all across our lives. I would never go see a film like that. Well, but I'm going to see this one. Oh, that's just one bad word. That's just this. And before you know it, you're being reeled in. Now, I'm not saying that all movies are bad. That's not my point. But do you see how you've been warmed up and now you find yourself watching filth that you would not have dared to look upon 10 years ago? And you're not even offended by it. And now you even desire to watch it. Oh, I would never do some of that kinky stuff that they do. Hello? Hello? I mean, really? Where is life taking you? And you find yourself, I would have never done that before, and here you are, acting just like the pig you thought you would never be. Fighting pigs for pig husks. Fighting them and getting in fights and wrestling with the pigs so that you can have your slop. What is this boy? Is this boy a pig or is he a boy? He's a young man. He is a Jewish young man. He is the son of a wealthy father. He's not a pig. But he's acting like one, and he's beginning to see himself as a pig. He now sees himself as one of those pigs. He has identified with the life. He has identified with the culture. He's rooted in it. There he is, and he's got to do what pigs got to do. But he's not a pig. He is a son of a wealthy father. But here's what I love it. After he's been, here he is. He's been used and abused by his friends. And they frankly thrown him away like a piece of trash. Isn't that what they do to you? After they've used your body? After they've used your money? After they've got their cheap thrills with you? They throw you away like a piece of trash. But the good thing about the pig pen here is that it says that here he is. He's desiring to eat, and it says no one gave him anything. But in verse 17, there's this phrase that says, when he came to himself. He has a moment of clarity, church. He has a moment of clear thinking that comes to you when the Holy Spirit will remind you of who you really are. Here comes that moment of clarity after they've taken his money, his clothing, no doubt his virginity and his innocence. You see, why do you feel bad after you do something bad? The Bible calls that your conscience, and your conscience will scream at you. You take that puff of that first joint. You know something's wrong. But you do it anyways because it's giggly and it's funny. But inside you know something's wrong. I'm telling you, that is God's wake-up call to you to stop where you're at. Quit drinking what you're drinking. Quit taking these things in your body. Quit thinking the way you're thinking, and quit associating with the associates you are associating with.